Dr. Stone is in a very, very, very interesting place right now. Because we're in the end game, right?
Yeah, final arc. Final arc. It's gonna. I give it to next year.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We're going to be next year for this. But we also have problems that we need to address before we get to that. And we ended it recently on that cliffhanger. I actually need to go back to our channel and see when the last fucking review was uploaded for Doctor Stone really quick, because it's been a minute. Um,
Honestly, I don't think I don't think it's gonna be a chapter review. I think this is gonna be just be our thoughts
uh
right
huh.
now. Honestly, I'm still loving it. But it's just I think my main issue with Doctor Stone
So
right now is
it
that
was 206, by the way.
everything's too easy, and everything. 206, that's nice. And then everything like it feels like I feel like the author's rushing a little bit too much to get
Mm-hmm.
to where we need to be, and I don't know how I feel about that. Because like one of the great things about Dr. Stone was I do love the science part of it,
Yeah.
but I like how it blended like the shonen aspect of it and then the science stuff, you know. But it felt like we're
Yes.
having too much science stuff and little like conflicts, you know what I mean? And like, well, the best part about Dr. Stone is the conflicts, like you
Mm-hmm.
know. Like I really like that about Dr. Stone, and the fact that we don't really have that right now is sort of
So
just like
so yeah, like it's been 8 chapters, so we need to like talk about the last 8 chapters in this video. Uh, but like, and I do agree with Luke. If you didn't know, like this is archived from our live stream. Look at me being professional. But like, there's 8 chapters worth of stuff here, and I feel like 2 chapters worth of plot has happened. You
yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah,
Because
yeah.
there's been like really erratic pacing the last little bit. And I think it's good and it's bad, and it's an interesting way they're handling this final arc. And I guess the Byakuya spinoff is now like non-canon technically, and or do even though I would rather that be integrated in some point when we got to the moon, like passing by the space station where Byakuya was, having to come to terms with like the robot's existentialism that was going on up there. There was a lot that could have been done with that. We have a potential traitor. We have and I was saying like fucking 15, 20 chapters ago, like I thought there would be a divide in the camp. And we saw a little bit of it with like Chrome doing the like, I'm not gonna let them freeze themselves on the moon with the Medusa, you know. So him going and doing a side project, but also now with the Medusa just self detonating, it's and then the birth of surveillance there basically. It's an interesting like little build up to where we're at, but it also seems like maybe we have a scene for like them getting paranoid between the camps here, and that driving that little joke I made of like maybe we'd have a civil war, um, or
I'd be down for it because the conflict's probably one of the best parts about it,
mm-hmm.
and the fact that we haven't got any sort of like because at this point it's just like what who could stop like who could like you know stop them at this point, right? You have a lot of people on they're on board with this, you know,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm happy that at least we're having someone who's just like no, and it's like challenging like it's not really much of a challenge anymore. Like
Right.
it feels like everything's going too smoothly. I mean, I get it, you know.
There's only
I
so
like the
much you
science
can do in a
part, but
final
it's just like,
arc.
but I don't like the fact that like all like the conflict and stuff that we've been having is just sort of just disappeared. You know what I mean? Like, like what's one of the best parts about it? Like when they were like fighting with Xenon and you know trying to you know deal with Stanley and Sukasa when he was an enemy. You know, like that was a good part of the series, but now it just feels like the like Igaraki's just sort of you know like
Yeah,
being
and this is
complacent.
the curse of the final arc. Um, and you have. I'm going to word this as good as possible here because I know it's a controversial opinion on Tube, any Twitter, any Facebook, whatever you want to throw the preface Annie in front of. You have two distinct possibilities for a final arc, and neither of them make or break a series. You have a crash and burn, or you have perfection. There is no fucking in between for a final arc.
Yeah, and especially since it's divided all the time and on.
There are people that fillet the end of Promise Neverland.
Yep, and people who and it's the same way with the Attack on Titan.
Yeah,
I've never seen an ending be split among the fan base so much.
And you have the extremes of that. Like, you have people that will defend Isayama till he fucking dies, and then you have people that were burning volumes and creating their own fan ending.
Disrespectful, by the way.
Oh, absolutely disrespectful. Like, there's one thing to make, like, an abridged series, or, like, a parody. It's one thing to do that. But to say that the ending is so horrendous that you are going to actively rewrite it from the point where you decide, one person out of an entire fandom, arbitrarily decide it went shit, and then rewrite it from there on. That is the most disrespectful thing you can do to an author.
Yeah, I'd be pissed. Low-key, I'd probably sue. Like, that's the one part where I'd be like, go ahead and sue, because that would piss me off. Like, the amount of disrespect you'd have to have, and it's the same way where these Twitter SJWs, I haven't said that word in a minute because anti-SJWs have been on my focal point right now, but where they when Izaki-chan was the thing, and then people started to say, "Oh, I fixed the art." Like,
oh god, I fucking hated that.
You don't fix shit. Like, you don't get to decide. You don't have to like the ending. It's fine, but don't be like, I'm going to fix it. Like, bitch, there's a reason why they're famous, making money while you're broke in your mom's basement, just struggling to make ends meet. Shut the fuck up. Like, you're not gonna sit here and disrespect an author or artist just because you don't like their source of like writing or art style. You don't have to like it. That's fine. But don't be like, I can fix this. If you can fix it, go make your own series then. Go write weekly.
Exactly.
Go in the comic industry. Go make a video game if you don't like it that much.
And that is the one thing that I will forever be just like you there, and be like, that's when you Disney it, basically. You strike that shit down. You DMCA it. You protect your IP. I found it absolutely hilarious when women that were built like Uzaki-chan were going like, there's nothing unrealistic about this. Look at me. Like, this is my natural form. I have tits that big. Get over it.
Honestly, that's low-key kind of body shaming too. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Right. It's like when there was an artist on Twitter.
Breasts exist. Like, don't make them feel bad. It's funny too, because I know a lot of people make them feel bad for it, but you have to be honest with you. I know a lot of women who have big breasts like that, and they say they hate it. They say it's just, they hate their big breasts. It gets in the way. Like, so I guarantee you that all those people right here that are like slamming them for it, like, you have to understand that some of them don't even like, having big bazongas either, because like, yes, we can sexualize big breasts, yada yada yada, but at the end of the day, that shit is detrimental to them for their everyday life, especially if you're like an athlete, right? Like, that shit is just like, it's very, very like, from what my best friend told me, she said it was like, imagine having like a backpack in front of you at all times. Basically, that's what she said.
Yep. And we both know somebody that dealt with that for a while and ended up recently having a reduction because they got tired of it.
So at the end of the day, right, like, shaming a woman for her breasts is like, it's kind of fucked up, right? And it's funny too, because like, I know a lot of women that like, whether it be straight, lesbian, like women like that, and like in fiction. So because I know one of the biggest things on the Twitter argument right now is just like, oh, sexualizing women, blah blah blah, you drawing their breasts too big. But I know a lot of women are just like, stop doing that notion, because there's a lot of women on Twitter that like drawing big breasts and not like looking at big breasts and all that stuff, and from the LGBT and stuff like that. So like, I opened my eyes to it too, because I was like one of those like, oh, sexualization of it, yada yada yada. But there's a lot of women that I saw that like actually defend us. They're just like, leave it alone, stop. We're not sexualizing us. We also sexualize, women with big breasts in fiction, blah blah blah. So honestly, that's not my fight to fight. But I think the moral of the story is just like, if you don't like it, you can always just skip it, dog. Like it's not, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like
And
it's not.
it was the same thing with Shinameta too. Like they were pissed that there was so much sexualization in that, and it's a whole fucking other can of worms that gets drug into, and it's
Yeah.
unfortunate.
At that point, it's not really
I,
really that big. Like you could have an opinion on it,
mhm.
but
Just like
it's so
interspecies reviewers and redo a healer and all that shit. Like it's not our fight to have because we're not the creators. Like
you have to. Like, I mean, yeah. So like, it depends. It depends on At the end of the day, it's fiction, so it doesn't really matter.
now, if
But
a media is actively harmful, then yes, that's when there's
yeah,
like,
100%, 100%,
yeah.
100%. But because it's funny too, because I saw in this group I'm in, this RPG group I'm in, that a lot of people, this people are actually shaming Persona 5 fans because apparently you can, as a student, you can like have like the what's his name?
Joker?
Sorry, distracted. In playing the game, I just struggle and I survived, so I'm happy. But I was saying you can have the as Joker, you can have the teachers as love interests, and a lot of people are like, if you like this game, you're a pedophile, and why do you like Persona? It's full of pedophiles, and I'm just like, bro, that's weird, dude. Like, well, like, bro, like, Loki is kind of weird. Like, you're that worried about that style of stuff? Like, yeah, that being written in the show, I guess, but not many people think about that shit too much, honestly, because
I'm just over here like the amount of loopholes they had to go through to fucking gamers are
like, so,
weird.
cause like,
There's a reason that nerds are shamed sometimes, and that is one of them.
because my thing is, it's just like that's so weird. Like that, why would you bring it? Like it reminds me of like that Family Guy meme. Like, who the hell starts a conversation like that? I just sat down. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's just like, why do you think about that, right? And it's just like, bro,
Why
it's
is
just
that the
like,
first place your brain goes to? Like,
especially as you're playing as the character. Like, I mean, I don't play Personas, but it's just like I've
I've
seen like
dabbled.
there are people like literally in the comment section like calling people who are just like, why does that matter? Like pedophiles. Like if you like the game, you're a pedophile. Like it's so weird. Like, do you not know what the definition of pedophile is? Like, but that's what I mean though. Like shit like that. Like shit like that
Right.
is just weird to me. Like why? Like that seems out of nowhere. You know what I mean? So like, going back to the original point of it, it's just like there's some things that should just stay like behind like a fiction, and some things you could be like, okay, like if it's not hurting you, like I don't think it matters too much,
And the whole point of this being brought up in this is like, no matter what this series ends up being when it's written, there is no point in arguing over like how it ends, because there's only so much time when you go through and be like, this is the final arc. There is only so much time Ignoraki and Boichi have to create their ending. And they seem to have set on a path where they're at a struggling fork here. And it's unfortunate that they've written themselves into this end, and now it's like, this is the final arc. We're going to end it here. I want to see how they wrap it up, because you have so many lingering plot threads here with the varying teams needing to go to space, defeat the Y-Man, and wrap it all up in a neat bow. And like,
it might be a long arc, to be honest. I can see it being like a
1,000-year Blood War length arc.
Yeah, probably probably like a year, not about a year or two, but because the pacing for Doctor Stone is actually pretty fast, if I'm being honest with you.
And that's what's got me worried right now, is like, with it being so fast paced where we're at right now, that's an unfortunate reality. of how they're writing. And I remember you guys talking a bit about back when we lived together, Red and I would just like slap my laptop up on the desk. I remember you guys worrying originally about like the My Hero pacing way back when you still reviewed it and feeling like it was wrapping up then.
I'm not even gonna say when it was in garbage. I fell out of love with My Hero. I think I just fell out of love with it. I hope I don't do that with Doctor Stone, because Doctor Stone has been fire still, but
you can see it. You can see it though.
Yeah, but it's just like I'm starting to see my enjoyment of it diminish, and I don't want that to happen. But I have to be honest with myself. I'm starting to feel that way,
and this is why we haven't reviewed it, because I feel the same way. Like, I still enjoy it, but it's not something that we can actively talk about on a weekly basis because it's been so fast paced. Whereas, like, it is very different. And we'll get to this when we talk Black Clover. But it's very different when there's fights happening and there's action and you can dissect that versus like, here's the thing we built and we're going to the next spot and we're done.
That was an issue we had back when me and Red, just the two of us, when certain chapters it was just like not really more social chapters, mostly science chapters, not really much to talk about. So we had to do there. But
and I firmly will 100% always stand by our decision to not force content, and that's why it's one reason why it's been so long since we actually talked about Dr. Stone. And I feel like we'll be doing this format more and more moving forward, is like doing them in chunks, because that at least gives us content to discuss. And I know that's a controversial thing to AniTubes, especially algorithmically, is doing chunk reviews. But
I rather do it because I Dr. Stone right now is still good. Not to have a quality dip, but my enjoyment of it, because it's just like the way I put it, it's just like nothing's like stuff is happening.
I feel like I'm playing a side quest in an RPG right now.
Yeah, like I miss the. I talked to Party Jams about this too, and I think I don't want to misquote him, but I think if I remember correctly, he agrees with me or not. I think he does. I don't know. Party Jams, if you're watching this, let me know if I.
Oh, he will be.
I don't want to misquote you if you agree with me or not, but because I had a talk with him about this, and it's just like it feels like the pacing and the conflicts is one of the best parts about Dr. Stone. It has been diminished. It's been like, because the last conflict we had was the Stanley arc, and how many chapters was that ago?
Fuck.
Like 10 chapters.
Like, it was right before we took a break from reviewing it. Like, shit.
Like, let us know when the last, like, because I believe the end of the arc was, I'm going to say the end of the arc is the time skip. So let me know when the time skip was.
Yeah, let us know in the comments when the time skip was, because that's that was like the last time I'm like, okay, this could set everything up real nice, but it really hasn't, because we've skipped so much of Luke said it was 193 when the fight with Stanley ended.
Well, 96, that's 10 chapters, right? 10, 11 chapters?
Yeah, it's a good almost 20 actually. Anyway,
really? So 20 chapters without any conflict. That's insane.
Yeah,
that is insane.
We're at what, like, what did I say earlier? Yeah, 214. So yeah, like almost 20 chapters. So
insane.
Yeah, it is. And I get that Dr. Stone's entire premise isn't conflict. It's more like political conflict in a way.
Yeah, but we don't really have that no more. Everything's
right.
Like
that's why I compared it to like a side quest in an RPG, like go slay the boars. And you're right, Luke, but like in that same point, there was still internal conflict. There were still things needing to progress because they were still in the process of rebuilding society. But at this point, they have kind of automated to a cavemanic stance society.
It's basically like the Sims right now. We're playing the Sims right now. We're reading the Sims. Basically.
Yeah. I hate that comparison, but you're right.
Because it's just like, because right now the biggest conflict right now is Y-Man, and that's perfectly fine. But we still have the biggest mystery of the Y-Man is still gone, and like we have no idea if it's a human, if it's a robot, if it's we
Yeah,
don't really know.
for all we know, the Y-Man could be an evolution of the robot from fucking Byakuya spinoff. You know, we don't fucking know what's going on, really. Like, it could have just programmed himself like, maybe the Medusa was right, and I need to continue to reset fucking society every so often. We don't know what's going on, and that's frustrating that we don't even have a motivation to drive us.
Yeah, I hopefully we get
Uh,
some sort of like
and
plot twist, something like that.
I'm hoping that this traitor shit is real, like Luke's saying. I'm hoping that
I
that
hope
gives
so
us.
too, bro. I
I'm
hope
hoping
so.
that gives us something, but like my biggest concern right now, and I don't know if you'll agree with me or not, but post where we got that little tiny time skip, we've created a computer. We've automated an assembly line for the computer parts, basically. And we've done nothing else, really, other than creating surveillance.
And
Like,
now and they're trying to make a satellite.
right, and now we're making a satellite. But out of all of that, what actually adds to the plot? The computer.
Yeah, I mean everything they're building is just so they can make the rocket, which is fine.
Right.
That's plot heavy. That's
But
great.
why did we take the steps to create surveillance, other than to catch the traitor, if that's a thing? Or the other issue is like, why are we automating this and skipping past all of the slice of life esque stuff that really used to matter in Dr. Stone? Like, okay, we're struggling to create this thing to build this machine to help make components for the computer so we can build the rocket. Like, I miss that, you know?
Yeah.
Like, there not being really any character moments is hurting Dr. Stone to me, because it's like we're doing the thing, we've done the thing in chapter every fucking week, and you know, reading it weekly, you know, it's okay, it's a chapter, it exists, but from a content perspective or from even a enjoyment perspective, it's dwindling and dwindling and dwindling. And this brings back the same point I had with like when we left Spike's family from the channel. Is like there is, and this was the point I was trying to get across to Red, is like having everything at the tip of your fingers is definitely a double-edged sword. When we were talking about that earlier in the stream, that the VOD exists somewhere in some capacity, but like that instantaneous nature that we live in now, where everything is, an, I believe it's called instant gratification,
Yeah.
where we have everything we could ever want at the tip of our fingers. That's why binge culture is such a thing, and that's why I actually love binging things so much, is because like you have that instant gratification, but reading something week to week sometimes just doesn't have that same kick.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's what I'm saying. Some things are more better to binge than to read or
And
watch.
that's definitely Spy X Family, and that's starting to feel like that's Dr. Stone.
Honestly, yeah. If it wasn't for the fact that it's in my top 5 of the manga right now, I probably would be doing a read and just reading it every once in a while, because it feels like I'm not gaining anything when I read it, and I hate that.
I really do. I really do hate it, because this was one of those series that I always look forward to, and it's one of those that I really enjoy doing the skits for and all the different things that we used to do for. But then you get to a lull arc like this, and it's just like, and with it
I'm
being,
sure it'll get better. I'm sure.
oh yeah,
I'm not even saying it's bad. Like,
right.
I don't want you guys to think that we're complaining about it or saying it's bad or anything like
Well,
that.
I mean, complaining about it, yes, but then we're not saying it's bad. It's just like we need that ramp up in escalation.
Yeah.
And that's the arc of storytelling. You escalate and you de-escalate, and then there are some stories that just continue to escalate, like Dragon Ball series, the Dragon Ball series, for example, be it Dragon Ball Z, Super, GT, all of them. They just continue to ramp up in escalation. to the point where they're fighting with literal gods and people that are somehow stronger than gods, even though gods, by their own definition, should be the strongest beings in existence. You know, that's one of those things. Like, you have to tell your story in a coherent pattern, and right now we're in that de-escalation stage, and we'll eventually, and we have the nod of escalation with the Medusa detonation, but we also don't really.
That was good. That was good.
Mhm.
I was like, what the fuck? That shit. That shit was good.
Right.
I really hope that they're sticking with this traitor, because I think that would be really good for the conflict that we need.
Yeah, and when we get to the next review, which will probably be like in a month, just simply on how the story is pacing right now, it usually takes about a month for there to be enough to actually create content out of. I had a brain fart there myself.
Yeah, it happens, Doug.
I'm assuming that traitor will have been revealed, or whatever the plot twist is will be revealed, and we'll be like, okay, maybe we can go back to doing it weekly. And yeah, Luke, I don't know if it'll be Yukio, if it'll be a small baby child that Red liked. I'm blanking on his name, the watch dude. I don't know if it'll be any of them. It could be Magna, learn past caveman. Who the series has always Joel, right? Joel. That character, or Magna, you know, being traitor, you know, evolved past caveman. The series has always done a wonder at subverting expectations, and that's something that you absolutely need in fiction. So hopefully at that point we'll be at a point where we can actually go back to weekly, but I'm thinking we'll be reviewing this more on a monthly basis, and then rotating Yo's Fam or Sakamoto Days or something in and out to replace it. Maybe doing those two bi-weekly, and then allowing Dr. Stone to build up, and so we have a lot to talk about. But let's wrap this up, because I know you guys need to talk about One Piece. So any final thoughts for...
I'm just getting my ass kicked in Dota right now. Third game, three losses in a row, bro.
Oof, that's when you tap out. So yeah, you at some point we should talk about Witch Watch and Ayakashi Triangle. Maybe we can do that when you're up here, and we can do like a why you should read those series.
Yeah, I'm down. I want to do a lot of stuff when I'm up there.
Yeah.
Is Rick bad?
You want to DM him really quick while I split the scene here?